This is episode 180 now. It's Tuesday the 23rd of March. Good morning, Barry's here with you in the studio. Again, apologies for cancelling two outings. One was the Billabong the week before, and this week we were going to go to Brooklyn, but as you've been hearing in the news, raindrops keep falling from the sky. Well, that's the song for it. Well, anyway, I have a special guest with me in the studio this morning. Alec, welcome to you. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel and the 180th episode of my show, of my channel. Good to see you here this morning on the show.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on your video.
And Alex, what inspired you to become a volunteer for Cerebral Palsy Alliance?
To work in a company in town, and we did some volunteering. And one of the days of volunteering that we did was with the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, and I found it really rewarding. And I remembered it recently and thought I'd just come back and give it a go. Sounded like a good thing to do, and it was really rewarding.
So before you became what was your job before that?
So for the last couple of years, I've been like a primary carer for my kids and a hobby writer. So I've written a couple of novels, science fiction novels. And then before that, I had an office job, basically, for a couple of decades.
What kind of office job was it?
I worked in planning for some financial services companies. So I worked in planning for Insurance Australia Group, and a couple of other big kind of financial services businesses. So we thought about, like in planning, we thought about what are we going to do next year? Are we going to launch a new product, or are we going to put the prices up or down, or, that kind of thing.
So, the next question on the show, Alex, how has COVID affected you, or how did COVID affect you and your family last year?
Yeah. Well, I think we were pretty lucky, actually. So we weren't sort of very badly affected. My kids had to stay home for school for a while, and that they didn't learn very much during that time, so it didn't work very well, if you know what I mean. But that, in terms of the bad things that happened around the world, that's not a bad thing. And my wife was working from home, so the house was full of people. But other than that, we were okay. Yeah, we were okay. How did it affect you?
Well, it was frustrating because I was not able to go out anywhere or come to work, but people have told me, Alec, that it's not the end of the world. Okay, I want to look up, not go,
Yeah.
because it was not the way to go. I was frustrated the first week it happened, and realizing that I was not going to come here to St. Times Cabs, that was a real big shock to the system. I think it was a shock to everybody's system, actually.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest with you, it was a long and winding road. Patience had to be added to the mix too. So I was sitting home that week in, week out. But luckily, the staff from here came and we had a lot of fun there. We did a program called Barbecue Fridays, cranked up the barbecue, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what else did you do, Alec, during COVID?
Not a lot. I was doing Uber driving last year. I was driving my car as an Uber driver, and it basically shut down overnight. Like all of a sudden, I went from driving the car a lot to there was no driving anymore. So for a while, there was none. Some people were still doing like emergency trips, but I wasn't really doing much of that. So that's another thing that happened for us.
So I would like to tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah, that'd be
now
great.
That you've told me.
Yes, please.
So just recently, Catherine and I did a trip to Bob's Head on the Mangrove Mountain and the Mangrove Boardwalk, and it was so great.
Yeah.
And we dropped into this cafe on the way back called the Bite Me Cafe.
Okay.
What did we get at the cafe, Baz?
A cappuccino and a meat pie.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, the best meat pies.
Really?
Ever. Yes.
Was this at Bob and Het?
Mount Cola, actually.
Mount
Yeah.
Cola.
Yeah.
So if you're ever driving around, driving around, pop in Alec and have a look. Oh, you will love Bob and the Head. Okay, and they've got a playground under construction there.
Mm.
And it
They're probably
is so
flooded now.
breathtaking.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just going to say, I bet they're flooded now down there at Bob and Het with all this rain.
Well, with all that rain, which brings us very nicely to the next topic here on episode 180. Now, you cannot see this rain because we cannot lift the camera up and take a view out the window, but we can tell you that the rain event started on Friday evening up on the north coast, Kempsey, Copser, Harbour, Maxville, okay, and the central coast, okay, and Windsor, and Penrith, and the Hawkesbury River. And also over the weekend, the Parramatta River burst its banks.
Yep.
So, a big deluge of rain, and just some advice for you viewers watching out there. If you don't have to go out, please don't go, okay, and listen to the weather warnings, listen to your radio and television updates for road closures as well. The Wakers Parkway at Narrabeen is still closed on Oxford Port Road. So if you want to go alternate route, go along Pittwater Road through Coleroy and do White. And like I've just said, if you don't have to go out, guys, please don't go unless you really desperately have to. Alec, do you have any advice for our viewers on this?
Just to watch out, as you said, for the warnings, and also just that some places they're actually evacuating along the Parramatta River as well. So they're actually telling people to leave their homes now in some areas because they're so flooded.
And before we do go to the break, just two more pieces of information. Please don't be a fool and drive through flooded areas or swimming, okay? Because it is not safe to do so, and get yourself prepared for evacuation and pack whatever essentials you may have, okay? And if the state emergency service personnel knock on your door and say it's time to evacuate, please do evacuate. Have you anything to say on that, Alec?
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. I agree, totally.
So, guys, we know it's been frustrating and you're wanting to go out, but it is not safe to do so today. However, the forecast is for a sunny day, but the Premier has told everyone here in Sydney and on the Central Coast, the Blue Mountains and Windsor and up north, like the places I've mentioned, Taree is another flooded area, okay? So please don't be complacent, guys, okay? Okay, it might be a sunny day excuse me. It might be a sunny day tomorrow, but it will take some days for the flood waters to recede. So, Alec, just one more question. Have you enjoyed being on the show this morning?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. That's cool.
Well, that's the end of the first part of the show today. Part 2 is coming up after this break. I'm Barry Fair. My special guest on the show in the studio this morning has been Alec. Alex, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And see you next time on the show. And I hope that you've learned a lot from how I put a YouTube video together.
Yeah.
My special guest has been Alec. Thanks, Alex, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And it's time for a break now, and we'll be back with you shortly with the second part. You've been watching the Alec and Barry interview here on episode 180. The time is 10 minutes past 11. It is Tuesday, the 23rd of March, 2021. Back shortly, back after the break. This is the Daily Wrap.